Court packing. It sounds like a weird game show, right? Like, who can fit the most judges on that tiny bench? But it's no joke, people. It's a serious issue that affects the very foundation of our democracy. So, what is it? In simple terms, court packing is when politicians try to change the number of judges on a court, usually the highest court in the land, to get rulings that favor their side. It's like trying to rig a game before it even starts. Now you might be thinking, can't you just appoint judges who agree with you anyway? Well, yes, that's how it's supposed to work. But the idea is that once appointed, judges should be impartial and make decisions based on the law, not on what their political buddies want. Court packing throws that whole system out the window. The history of court packing goes way back, but one of the most famous attempts happened right here in the good old US of A. Back in the 1930s, President Franklin D. Roosevelt tried to add more justices to the Supreme Court because they kept striking down his New Deal programs. He wasn't too happy about that, so he came up with a plan to pack the court with justices who would be more sympathetic to his agenda. Spoiler alert, it didn't go over well. Imagine a seesaw, right? One side represents liberal views, the other side conservative views. The idea is to keep it balanced, to find that sweet spot in the middle where things are fair for everyone. That's what the judicial system is supposed to be like. But court packing throws that balance out of whack. When you start adding judges based on their political leanings, you no longer have an impartial court. You have a court that's basically an extension of the political party in power. And that's a recipe for disaster, my friends. Think about it. If the court is always going to rule in favor of one side, why even have trials? Why even bother with the law? It undermines the entire justice system and erodes public trust in the courts. And when people lose faith in the institutions that are supposed to protect them, things can get really messy really fast. Now, some people might argue that court packing is no big deal. They might say it's just part of the political game, that everyone does it. But that's like saying, hey, everyone cheats on their taxes, so it's cool if I do it too. No, my friends, it is not cool. Two wrongs don't make a right. Court packing is dangerous because it sets a terrible precedent. If one party does it, the other party will feel entitled to do the same when they get in power. It becomes a vicious cycle of tit for tat, with each side trying to outmaneuver the other. And who loses in all of this? The American people, that's who. Imagine a world where the Supreme Court is constantly being manipulated for political gain, where basic rights are at the mercy of whoever happens to be in charge at the moment. That's not a democracy, that's a dictatorship in disguise. History is full of cautionary tales about the dangers of court packing. We already talked about FDR's attempt in the 1930s, which thankfully was met with widespread opposition and ultimately failed. But there are other examples from around the world that show just how quickly things can go south. Take Venezuela, for example. In 2004, then-President Hugo Chavez packed the country's Supreme Court with his supporters, effectively neutralizing any opposition to his socialist agenda. The result? The erosion of democratic norms, the suppression of dissent, and a descent into authoritarianism. Or look at Hungary, where Prime Minister Viktor Orban has been busy consolidating his power and undermining the rule of law. One of his tactics? You guessed it, packing the courts with loyalists. And guess what? Hungary is no longer considered a full democracy. These examples should serve as a stark warning to anyone who thinks court packing is a harmless political tactic. It's a dangerous game that undermines the very foundations of our democracy. We must resist it at all costs.